Good morning, dear students. Now let us move on to our next topic, that is silicates. Okay. See, normally the silicates, they are the metal derivatives of silicic acid. Okay. Metal derivatives of silicic acid. What is the formula for silicic acid? Silicic acid is H4SiO4. Okay, so the silicates are the metal derivatives of the silicic acid, and also the most common silicate, that is sodium silicate. Sodium silicate is the most common silicate, and the formula for sodium silicate is Na2SiO3. Okay, the most common silicate is sodium silicate, and also this sodium silicate, it is insoluble in water. Sodium silicate is insoluble in water, and also see, most of the silicates, they are insoluble in water. Most of the silicates are insoluble in water, and also the see why this is insoluble means the reason is that, see, in the case of silicates, it has got SiO4 4 minus, isn't it? Or SiO3 4 minus. So here this silicates, it will be having a silicon oxygen bond, and also the silicon oxygen bond strength, it is very high. So that is why it is insoluble in water. Okay. So that is the reason for the insolubility in water. And also then the next one, see, normally this SiO bond, it is a covalent bond. Silicon oxygen bond is a covalent bond, but what happens is that, see here, the electronegativity difference between silicon and oxygen, it is very high. The electronegativity difference is very high for silicon and as well as oxygen atom. That is, for silicon, the electronegativity, it is about 1.8, and also for oxygen, the electronegativity, it is for silicon it is 1.8, and for oxygen it is 3.5. Okay, for oxygen it is 3.5. So the electronegativity difference between these two, it is about 1.7. Okay, the difference is 1.7. The electronegativity difference is 1.7. Okay, so what happens is that, see, if the electronegativity difference is high, we had already seen in our chapter 2, isn't it? This if electronegativity difference is high, that means there exists a polarity between the two bonds, and as a result, ionic character will be developed in between these two bonds, that is in between silicon as well as oxygen. So here, even though it is a covalent bond, it will be existing a very high degree of ionic character also. Okay, along with the covalent character, it is also having ionic character. Okay. And also again, regarding the structure of the silicates will be having SiO4 4 minus units. Okay, SiO4 4 minus, that is the geometry, it will be like this, a tetrahedral geometry, O minus, then again O minus, O minus, O minus. Okay, so this is a tetrahedral geometry for the silicate ion, SiO4 4 minus. So each SiO4 4 minus will be a tetrahedral unit. And also here, while moving to the hybridization of the silicon in the ground state, the electronic configuration, it will be 3s2 3p2. Okay, 3s2 3p2. This is 3s and this is 3p. 3s 3p. Okay, then while going to the excited state of silicon, what happens is that the electron from 3s orbital, it will be promoted to 3p. So what happens, partially filled orbitals will be there, isn't it? So here it becomes, on excitation, one of the electron will be moving to 3pz. Okay, so 3s, then 3px1, 3py1 and 3pz1. Okay, so this is the excited state electronic configuration of silicon. So see here, how many sp3 hybrid orbitals are there? See, 1 s and 3 p orbitals are combining. So in total we can say that there will be 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals, isn't it? 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. And therefore these 4 hybrid orbitals will be combining with the 4 oxygen atoms. Okay, so 4 valencies are satisfied by 4 hydrogen atoms, and therefore the compound becomes SiO4 4 minus. and also the geometry, it is a tetrahedral geometry. Hope you are clear up to this. So just we can go through these points. Normally the silicon oxygen, it is insoluble in water. Silicates are insoluble due to the high bond strength, and also SiO is a covalent bond. But even then it will be exhibiting very high ionic character due to the high electronegativity difference, and the electronegativity difference, it is about 1.7. Again, regarding the structure of silicate, ground state configuration is 3s2, 3p2, and the excited state configuration, it will be 3s1, 3px1, 3py1 and 3pz1. So this is px, py and pz. Okay. So the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals, these 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals, 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? So these 4 hybrid orbitals will be combining with 4 oxygen atom to form 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals, and therefore the compound will be SiO4 4 minus. Okay. Next we can go through the classification of silicates. Classification of silicates. Classification of silicates. See here, this silicates, they are classified into different categories based on their linkages. That is based on their SiO4 4 minus linkages. Thus silicates are classified into several types. That is the first classification, it is orthosilicate, then pyrosilicate, ortho, then pyro, then chain silicate, then cyclic, then sheet silicates, then three-dimensional silicates. Okay, this much of silicates are present. Okay, so these are the different categories of silicates, or the classification of silicates: ortho, pyro, chain, cyclic, sheet and 3D silicates. Then we can go through each of these classification one by one. So first one, that is the orthosilicate. Orthosilicates. See here, in the case of orthosilicates, these silicates tetrahedra, that is SiO4 4 minus tetrahedra, it will not be sharing any oxygen atom with another SiO4 unit. That means there will be only discrete SiO4 4 minus units. There will be one single SiO4 4 minus units. Okay, it will not be shared. The oxygen atoms will not be shared between other tetrahedras. Okay, so the structure we can draw it like this: Si, then oxygen, then again O minus, then again O minus, again O minus. Okay, so this is one discrete unit of SiO4 4 minus. Okay. So here see the oxygen atom, it is not shared by any other tetrahedral units, isn't it? So this is called as an orthosilicate. And also we can represent it in another form also, in a schematic manner also, and it will be like this. See, oxygen atom, one oxygen atom, then again another oxygen atom. Okay, so these three are the oxygen atoms, then surrounding, then one silicon. Okay, so this one, it is the silicon atom. This is the silicon atom. This is O minus units. O minus units. So one O minus, it is behind this plane. Okay, one of the O minus atom, it is behind this plane, that is under this plane. Okay, so this is the skeletal framework of a SiO4 4 minus tetrahedra. Okay, and also see here, this is oxygen O minus, and this is the silicon atom. So here this is the silicon atom, and the other one, that is O means it is the oxygen atom. O means it is the oxygen atom. Okay, so that is the first class called as the orthosilicates. First one, orthosilicates. Then going to the examples, we can see the first example, that is zircon. It is usually heard of we are usually hearing the zircon, isn't it? Zircon, the formula is ZR SiO4. ZR is zirconium, so it is zirconium silicate, ZR SiO4. Then the next compound, that is willemite, WLLIMITE, willemite, and that is Zn2, that is a zinc silicate. Okay, Zn2 SiO4, willemite. Then phenacite, 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 that is beryllium silicate, Be2SiO4, phenacite. Then garnets. Then garnets means it will be combination of different metals. Okay, so the different metals, they are represented by M3 and M2. So M3 double dash, then M2 triple dash, then silicate SiO4 thrice. M3 double dash, M2 triple dash, SiO4 thrice. See here, M3 double dash means it is a divalent ion. Okay, so M3 double dash represents calcium, Ca2 plus, then magnesium and iron, Fe2 plus. Okay, and again M3 dash denotes the trivalent ions. Okay, that is Al3 plus, then Fe3 plus, then Cr3 plus. Okay, so that is the difference between these two. M2 dash denotes the divalent ion, that is calcium, magnesium, iron, and M3 dash represents the trivalent ions, that is aluminium, then iron, then chromium. Okay, so this is the case of orthosilicates. You have to study the examples also. See the types of silicates or the classification of silicates is usually asked in your examinations. Then the second one, that is the pyrosilicates. Pyrosilicate. See here, this pyrosilicates, it will be having disilicate anions. And also that means disilicate anions means the units will be like this: Si2O7 6 minus. It will be having such units, Si2O7 6 minus units. That means here two SiO4 units will be joined together. Two SiO4, this SiO4, it is having the geometry tetrahedral. So two SiO4 tetrahedral units will be joined together to form what? Si2O7 6 minus units. Okay, that means one oxygen, it will be shared by the two tetrahedral atoms, by the two tetrahedras. Okay, so two tetrahedral units will be there. So the first one I am writing like this: Si, O minus, then O minus, and again O minus, then again the another oxygen atom. Okay, so this oxygen, it will be shared by the next tetrahedral unit. So again O minus, then O minus. Okay, so here two tetrahedral units are there. See here, this is the first tetrahedral unit and this is the next tetrahedral unit. So each tetrahedral unit, it will be sharing one oxygen atom in common. Okay, so that is the case of pyrosilicates. Normally these pyrosilicates are very rare to see, and also some of the important pyrosilicate are, the first one, that is the metal which is included in the pyrosilicate, that is scandium. Okay, so that type of pyrosilicate, it is called as thortveitite, THORTVEITITE, thortveitite. That is, it will be having the element scandium. So here this particular silicate can be represented by Sc2, scandium 2, then silicate Si2O7. Okay, Sc2SiO7, that is called as thortveitite. Then the second pyrosilicate, second example, that is called as the hemimorphite. And also see, hemimorphite, it is a silicate of zinc, that is Zn3 Si2O7, Zn3 Si2O7, then ZnOH twice dot H2O. Okay, so this is the second one, hemimorphite. So thortveitite and hemimorphite are the two pyrosilicates. Okay, so you have to study the examples as well. So one is the scandium silicate and the other one is zinc silicate. So next we can go through the next category, the third one, that is the chain silicates. See here, chain silicates mainly, it has got two types or two classifications are there. The first one, that is the simple chain silicates, and the second one, that is the double chain silicates. Simple chain silicates and double chain silicates. See, simple chain silicates means the formula it will be like this: SiO3 2 minus then n times. That means n times means this particular unit is repeating n times. Okay. So that is simple chain silicates. And in the case of double chain silicates, the formula it will be like this: Si4O11 then 6 minus O11 6 minus 6 minus then n times. Okay. So Si4O6 O11 6 minus the whole n times. Okay. 6 minus the charge of charge here. Okay. Si4O11 6 minus n times. Okay. So these are the two types of silicates, simple as well as double chain silicates. So next we can go through the simple chain silicates. Simple chain silicates. Simple chain silicates. See here, simple chain silicates means here one silicate tetrahedron. It will be the corners of each silicate tetrahedron. It will be shared by oxygen atoms. Okay. And also we can draw this simple chain silicates like that. Afterwards I will explain. 1, 2. See, these are the oxygen atoms. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then again. Okay, see here, these are all oxygen atoms, and then we have to represent the silicon atoms. So silicon atoms at the center. Okay. In this way you have to draw the structure also. Okay. You have to draw the structure in your lecture notes also. Okay. So this is an example for a simple chain silicate. See here, one tetrahedron. See, while considering this particular tetrahedron, see, this is one tetrahedron, isn't it? The two oxygen atoms at the corners are shared by two other tetrahedras, isn't it? See, the two oxygen atoms at the corners of this particular tetrahedron, it is shared by one tetrahedron, then another tetrahedron. Okay. So here, in the case of simple chain silicates, it is formed by the sharing of oxygen atoms on the two corners of each silicate tetrahedron. And therefore, it gives rise to a polymeric type chain, isn't it? This is a polymeric anion chain. Okay, so this is the structure of the simple chain silicates. Then, here no bridging type is there, isn't it? There is only chain type silicates are there. It will be going on like this. At both ends it will be going on like this. So no bridges will not be formed here. Okay. No bridges will be formed in the case of simple chain silicates. Okay. And also again if the structure is an anion carrying two negative charges per silicon atom. That means if it is the structure, it is having an anion carrying two negative charges. Anion carrying two negative charges per atom. Two negative charges per atom. Then this type of chain silicates will be in the form of SiO3 2 minus then n times. Okay, that is the composition of the straight chain silicates or the simple chain silicates. And these chains they are present in some of the minerals called as pyroxenes. Okay, these type of simple chains will be present or will be found in some minerals called as pyroxenes. Pyroxenes, Pyroxenes. Okay. So that is the case of simple chain silicates, and now we have to go through some of the examples of simple chain silicates. And the first example, that is diopside, DIO, example DIOPSIDE, diopside, that is calcium magnesium silicate, CaMgSiO3 twice. Then spodumene, that is another example, spodumene, SPODUMENE, that is lithium aluminium silicate, LiAlSiO3 twice. Then Another one is jadeite, Jadeite, jadeite. That is sodium aluminum silicate, NaAlSiO3 twice. Okay, so these are some of the examples for simple chain silicates. Then the next category, that is the double chain silicates. Double chain silicates, the second classification. Double chain silicates. See here, in the case of double chain silicates, when two simple chains are joined by shared oxygen atoms, that means when two simple chains are joined by shared oxygen atoms, it is called as double chain silicates. Okay, so that means here sometimes one tetrahedra will be sharing two oxygen atoms. One tetrahedra will be sharing two oxygen atoms. Sometimes one tetrahedra will be sharing three oxygen atoms. Okay, one tetrahedra will be sharing three oxygen atoms. So we can see double chain silicates as both cases. Okay, one tetrahedra sharing two oxygen atoms, or it can be one tetrahedra sharing three oxygen atoms. And also this double chain structures, they are usually seen in some minerals called as amphiboles, AMPHIBOLES. These double chain silicates are present in a particular category of minerals called as amphiboles. And also example for this double chain silicates is tremolite, TREMOLITE, tremolite. And the structure will be like this. It is a calcium magnesium silicate. The composition, it will be like this: Ca2Mg5 Si4O11 twice, then Si4O11 twice, then OH twice. Okay, so this is the structure of double chain silicates. Example, it is the structure for tremolite. And also then you have to refer the text for seeing the diagram of double chain silicates. It will take time for me to draw, or else I will show you in your textbook. See, this is the structure of double chain silicates. See, first of all, you have to draw this particular oxygen line, and then you have to draw this particular line. Then you have to alternate this tetrahedral structures. Okay, then join with each structure. So it will be formed. This is an example for a double chain silicates. Okay, you have to draw this diagram if asked. Okay. So next is the case of cyclic silicates, the fourth category, that is the cyclic silicates. Cyclic silicates. See here, the cyclic silicates, they are formed by the sharing of two oxygen atoms. Sharing of two oxygen atoms per silicon atom. Okay, cyclic silicates formed by the sharing of two oxygen atoms per silicon atom. And also here the silicate unit is SiO3 2-. Okay, it shares two oxygen atoms per silicon atom, and the and the primary unit will be SiO3 2-. The structure will be like this: oxygen, you have to draw like this, oxygen, then one oxygen atom here. So here one silicon atom, this is a silicon atom, then one tetrahedra is formed, then another tetrahedra like this, oxygen atom, at the center one silicon atom, then again here at this point also this oxygen atom will be sharing one silicon atom at the center. See here, this bond it will be like this. Okay, this bond will be like this. Okay, so this is the structure of a cyclic silicate. Okay, and also this the single unit is SiO3 2-. This is Si3. How many Si units? Si are there? 1, 2, 3, isn't it? Si3 O9. Then the charge is 6 minus. Okay. And also one example for this cyclic silicate, that is beryl. Example for a cyclic silicate is beryl, BeRyl. That is Be3Al2 Si6O18. Okay, Be3Al2 Si6O18 beryl. So this is the example for a cyclic silicate. Then the next one we can go through the fifth category, that is the sheet silicate. Fifth category, sheet silicate. Sheet silicate or phyllosilicates. Phyllosilicates. Sheet silicates or phyllosilicates. See here, this type of silicates, they are formed by the sharing of 3 bridge oxygen atoms. Formed by the sharing of 3 bridge oxygen atoms, and also it results in the formation of an infinite 2-dimensional sheets. Results in the formation of infinite 2-dimensional sheets. Two-dimensional sheets. Okay, so here this sheet silicates, they are formed by the sharing of 3 bridge oxygen atoms per silicon atom. Okay, 3 bridge oxygen so for one silicon atom 3 bridge oxygen atoms will be there, and resulting in the formation of 2-dimensional sheet. See, this is the structure of this sheet silicate. See here, it is a 2-dimensional network, and 3 bridge oxygen atom. See, 3 bridge oxygen atom, it is shared by 3 bridge oxygen atom for 1 silicon atom. Okay, so this is the structure of sheet silicate. Okay, so while at home you have to practice the structure, draw this structure and practice it. Okay, so this is the case of sheet silicate, and also here the tetrahedral unit, it will be like this: Si2O5, then N times 2 minus. The tetrahedral unit will be Si2O5 N times 2 minus. Okay, Si2O5 2 minus N times. And also the example for this sheet silicates are mica, then clay minerals, etc. Mica, clay minerals, then talc. Talc is an example for the sheet silicate. The formula for talc is Mg2 Si2O5 twice, then MgOH twice. Mg2 SiO5 twice, MgOH twice. Then another example, that is kaolinite. Kaolinite, Kaolinite. That is Al2OH 4 times, then Si2O5. Kaolinite. Okay, so that is the case of sheet silicates. Then the next one, the sixth category, that is 3-dimensional silicates. 3-dimensional silicates. 3-dimensional silicates. See here, in the SiO4 units, all the 4 oxygen atoms will be bridged. Okay, the 4 oxygen atoms present in each SiO4 units, it will be bridged. Therefore, a 3-dimensional silicate will be formed. So here 3D structures will be arise as a result of this bridged atoms. Okay, so the silicate is a neutral silicate. It's a neutral silicate, and also the basic unit will be SiO2 N times. The basic unit will be SiO2 N times. Okay, so that is the case of 3-dimensional silicates, and also examples for this 3-dimensional silicates are quartz, 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 then pyridimite, then cristobalite, then zeolite, Okay, so these are some of the examples for this three-dimensional silicates. So this is about the classification of this silicates. So we have got 6 types of silicates. The first one ortho, then second one is pyro, third one chain silicate, then the fourth one, that is the cyclic silicate, then fifth one sheet silicate, then sixth one three-dimensional silicates. Okay, so our next topic, that is regarding the zeolites. Okay, zeolites, this is also an important topic. Zeolites, classification of silicates is also very important. You have to study it clearly, and also please practice the diagrams also while being at home. Okay, so next is zeolites. So normally the zeolites, they are aluminosilicates. Zeolites are aluminosilicates, and also the zeolites, it will be having an open pore structure. Zeolites will be having an open pore structure, or it will be porous. The silicates will be porous, and also it will be having equal number of anions and cations in its structure. Equal number of anions and cations. And also see, since it has got a porous structure, what happens is that this water molecules can enter into the interstitial positions. Okay, the water molecules can enter into the interstitial positions of this zeolite. Okay, and also, but only water molecules can enter into the porous structure, not complex molecules. Complex molecules cannot enter into the interstitial sites. Okay, so zeolites, the first point, they are aluminosilicates. They have got a porous structure, and also they contain equal number of anions and cations. Then water molecules will be entering into the interstitial positions due to the porous structure. Complex molecules will not enter. Okay, and also this, normally these zeolites, they are used as molecular sieves due to their highly porous nature. You know sieve, isn't it? Molecular sieves. Sieves means arip. Okay, so the zeolites will be acting as molecular sieves because of the highly porous structure. Okay, and also in this zeolites, the cations will be moving freely inside the structure. Cations move freely inside this zeolites. Okay, freely in open pore structure. Cations will move freely in their open pore structure. And also, since these cations are moving freely, what happens? These cations can be exchanged with some other cations. Okay, so exchange of cations can be done in the case of zeolites. Okay, so that is one important property of this zeolites. Okay, so normally the zeolites, they are used in softening of hard water. Zeolites used in softening of hard water. Zeolites are used in softening of hard water. See, the principle behind this is that the cations will be moving freely, and instead of a particular cation, we can replace the cations present in the zeolites with some other cations. Okay, normally hard water, it will be having water ions, it will be having calcium ions as well as magnesium ions. So the presence of these ions will be resulting in hard water, isn't it? So we have to remove this calcium or magnesium ions from the hard water. So for that we are using zeolites. So normally in zeolites there will be Na plus ions. Okay, Na plus ions will be present in zeolites, and this Na plus will be replaced by this Ca2 plus present in the hard water. That is, when hard water is passed through these zeolites, what happens? The Na plus ions will be replaced by the Ca2 plus ions. Okay, so what happens? From the water we can remove the Ca2 plus ions. Okay, so that is the purpose of using zeolites in the softening of hard water. That means in zeolites, Na plus ions are there. In hard water, Ca2 plus as well as Mg2 plus ions are there. So when hard water it is passed through these zeolites, Na plus ions present in the zeolites are replaced by this Ca2 plus ions. Thus, from the hard water we can remove the Ca2 plus ions. Thus we can soften that particular hard water. Okay, so that is the main important point to be noted in the case of zeolites, or the main purpose of using zeolites. And also the general formula for the zeolites, it will be like this. Mx by N, then AlO2 x times, AlO2 x times, then SiO2 y times, then bracket close ZH2O. So this is the general formula for the zeolite. Mx by N, AlO2 x times, then SiO2 y times, then ZH2O. Okay, so this is the general formula for zeolite. General formula for zeolite. Okay, then we can go through one by one. Mx by N. See here, M denotes a metal ion or a cation. And also usually in zeolite, cation means a positively charged species. So here cation will be, normally it will be Na plus, or it can be K plus. Okay, or sometimes it can be Ca2 plus. Okay, then the next one, N. N represents the charge of the metal ion. N represents the charge of the metal ion. Then Z represents the number of moles of water for hydration. Number of moles of water for hydration. So this is the general formula for zeolites. Mx by N, AlO2 x times, then SiO2 y times, ZH2O, x, y, Z. Okay, have to remember like that. M represents the cation present, N is the charge of the metal ion, and Z is the number of moles of water for hydration. Okay, so the next topic we have to go through is silicons. It is very important and also very easy to study. Silicons. Silicons. See, silicons means normally it is a organo-silicon polymer. Silicons are organo-silicon polymers. Polymers means it will be a straight chain or a branched chain. It will be extending or it will be going on like that, isn't it? So silicons are organo-silicon polymers, and also we are obtaining silicons when an alkyl substituted chlorosilane. Alkyl substituted chlorosilane when it is hydrolyzed. That is, when it is treated with water, what happens? The long chain polymers or silicons are obtained. This is how we are preparing silicons. That is, an alkyl substituted chlorosilane. Alkyl substituted chlorosilane. Silane means SiCl4. Okay. So here alkyl substituted chlorosilane means two valencies are occupied by two alkyl groups. Okay. And the other two will be dichloro substituted. Okay. So two alkyl, that is dialkyl substituted chlorosilane on hydrolysis plus 2H2O, what happens is that two molecules of HCl will be eliminated. Okay, so minus 2 HCl. So what happens here? This Cl will be replaced by OH. So here it becomes R, Si, R, 2Cl replaced by two OH groups, OH. And again, while removing one molecule of water, normally we will be writing it like this. One OH will be removed, and then the so formed product will be RSi, R double bond O. Okay, so that is how we are writing. That is, if two OH groups are attached to one carbon atom, what happens? We will be removing one molecule of water, normally in organic chemistry. But here in this case, this type of reaction will not happening. That means this type of product will not be formed. Okay, this product will not be formed. Okay, so this type of reaction will not be taking place. Instead, the reaction, it will be like this. That is, again, this molecule, that is, I am writing it like this, SiOH, OH. Okay, that is SiOH, OH. Then two alkyl groups. The two alkyl groups, I am writing like this. Two alkyl groups plus another molecule of this compound. That is OH, SiOH, then again R. Okay, then removal of one molecule of water. Okay, so one molecule of water will be removed like this. So the product will be, you have to write it like this, OH, then Si, RR, then single bond. Here water will be eliminated. So again oxygen atom is there, OSi, then R, OH. Okay, so this is the first product formed. See, when this compound further reacts with another this dihydroxy silicon, what happens? It will be like this. Again SiR, R, then OH. Again what happens? One molecule of water will be eliminated from this position. Okay, so again minus H2O. So the product will be like this, OH, then SiR2, SiRR, then oxygen atom, then SiRR, then oxygen atom. Here one water is eliminated, remaining one oxygen atom, then again SiRR, OH. Okay, so this is called as silicon. This is a organic polymer, isn't it? Organic silicon polymer. So here on hydrolysis of this monoalkyl trichlorosilane, then again we will be having RSiCl3. Then with on hydrolysis of RSiCl3, we will be obtaining cross-linked polymer. Okay, that I will be writing the reaction also. That is another example. So this is a linear silicon, isn't it? Linear polymer. Then if we need a cross-linked polymer, then the reaction it will be like this. That is RSiCl3. RSiCl3 means monoalkyl trichlorosilane, isn't it? Silane means SiCl4. So in that one chlorine atom, it is replaced. It will be like this: SiCl, Cl. Okay, so one chlorine atom, it is replaced by an alkyl group. So it will be monoalkyl trichlorosilane. Okay, so this is monoalkyl trichlorosilane. Monoalkyl trichlorosilane. Okay, so this monoalkyl trichlorosilane on hydrolysis, what happens is that the three Cl groups, the three chlorine groups, they are replaced by 3 OH. Okay, so the product will be like this. Two molecules of see here, 2 molecules of R2. Okay, R SiOH thrice, the 3 chlorine atoms replaced by 3 OH groups plus 3 HCl. Okay, so next we have to write the reaction also. See, I am writing the previously formed silicon. Okay, this one I am writing again. Okay, OH, this one. That means, see here, RSiOH, ROH, then O, then Si, then ROH, then oxygen atom, then silicon, then ROH, OH. See here, this silicon hydroxide, it is polymerized. Okay, so it will be polymerized, then we will be having such a structure. So when this type of this molecule, when it is hydrolyzed, again I am writing one more polymer like this, RSiOH, then again OH, then again O, then SiOH, then R, then O, SiOH, R. Okay, then again R or OH. Here it can be OH. Okay. So here what happens is that one molecule of water will be eliminated. Okay, from this position also one molecule of water, from this position also one molecule of water is eliminated. So we will be having a cross-linked polymer, that is the bond will be, here it will be SiOSi, here also SiOSi, again SiOSi. Okay, so the product will be like this. Si. I'm omitting this alkyl group. So Si, then R, then oxygen atom. See this part I am writing. SiO, then hyphen SiR, then oxygen, then Si, again R, then another OH or alkyl group, whatever it be. So then the next one, here at this portion I am linking, that is SiO, Si, then OH, then again here oxygen atom, then again another Si, it is linked through an oxygen, here it is an alkyl group, then again oxygen atom, then silicon, then here also one oxygen, like this. Here it will be alkyl group. Okay, so here we have got a cross-linked polymer, isn't it? A cross-linked polymer is obtained by the hydrolysis of a trichlorosilane, monoalkyl trichlorosilane. Okay, so we will be having a cross-linked polymer, and also you see here it will be more stronger while comparing with that of a straight chain polymer. Okay. Again going to the uses of this silicons. Uses of silicons is also important. Uses of silicons. See, silicons are normally they are water repellent. Water repellent, first point. Then they are good insulators. Good insulators. Then so it is used as waterproofing and in electrical condensers. Used in waterproofing and in electrical condensers. Waterproofing and electrical condensers. Then they are used as insulators for electric motors also. Insulators for electric motors. Insulators for electric motors. Why they are used as insulators means they can withstand very high temperature. They can withstand very high temperature. That is why used as insulators in electric motors. Then the next point is that they can retain plasticity even at low temperature. Retain plasticity even at low temperatures. Retain plasticity at low temperatures, and also it can resist chemical attack. Can resist chemical attack. Then they are used in paints also. Used in paints in order to make them damp resistant. In order to make them damp resistant. And also used in non-stick coating also. Non-stick coating for pans also. Then again the silicons, they are used for treating skin infections. For treating skin infections also these silicons are used. Then again it is used in root canal therapy also. Root canal, it is in the field of dentistry, isn't it? So it is used in root canal therapy also in the field of dentistry. Okay. So these are some of the uses of this silicons. Okay, you have to study these uses also. It is very important. So this is about our silicates, and 2 more sessions are there remaining, that is borax is there. Okay, borax, boron hydrates, boron nitrates, etc. are there, that we can see in our next session. Okay, so this much portion you have to study very well. Okay, thank you.